XRP, XCN, XLM, XYO, IOTX, and a few others. What is happening in the market? This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name's Neil, where we keep technical analysis short and sweet. And as you see here, we have a nice bullish pendant building up. We got some support off this upward trend line for Bitcoin, and we really just need to see it break this downward trend line after that third touch, close above that trend line, and then we could see a potential continuation. However, if that gets rejected, we could see a little bit lower low, but judging by this area that I have pasted out here, we see that it had that major reduction here in July 2014. This is just an example of what's happened in the past where it had that major retracement, then it built upwards, tried to go a little bit lower, and then had a continuation in the bullish pattern. Moving over to let's do render, because I was talking about it in the other one. We needed to break that 4.15 line, and that actually happened a few hours ago, and we are testing it as support now. It hit the 618 Fibonacci retracement here at 4.39. Let's get some support around this area, maybe as low as 4.066, but then have a continuation upwards as it has broken that neckline and just needs to hold a higher high than this point. Moving on over to XYO, and we'll also talk about QNT here. XYO had that exact push up that we were talking about, around 30 to 32% before a major rejection, right back down to where you could have had a nice entry, breaking this black downward trend line. These two yellow lines here for the fair value gap, and we see that it's holding above the 200 EMA, trying to build a little bit of support. We could see this pushing into this fair value gap. These two dotted red lines that I have placed out, this is just from doing previous research on the coin, where there's a lot of movement and consolidation from previous events. But we did get support off that black downward trend line, or a little bit above, and we could see this as a double bottom. If you like to flip this in an inverse scale, you could see that there would be something similar to this being a double bottom and pushing that coin further up into this area. So removing that, going back to the original, this is XYO, and we expect this to increase in price, and it moves very fast. As you see, within these 8 hours, it pushed up that 30%, and previously when we saw something major like this happen, it broke out of this downward wedge, but we like to look at this potential gain. So this is the downward wedge. It had the push up, a little bit of consolidation for quite a while, and then a major 434% increase. So we broke this trend line once more, this black downward trend line right here. When you follow that, it's a downward wedge, broke, consolidation, push up, and more consolidation, and then breaking out of a downward trend line once more. Now that it is holding it as support, we can expect it to be pushing back up to the 2.3 cent area, and the Fibonacci retracement on what I have placed, the 1.618, is right around 2.8. Beyond that, we're looking at 3 to 4 cents and way higher. But XYO is a little bit of a confusing one. It's got some funky patterns, but judging by previous patterns, you can kind of take an educated guess of what the potential could be for the next move up. Keeping in mind 618 is right in this fair value gap at 0.016 cents. Moving over to QNT. QNT is looking very healthy. The volume is picking up exponentially. It's trying to stick within these trend lines that I have drawn out here. You see that when it broke this trend line, it had some consolidation, but then pushed up, tried to test it, got rejected back down to the 200 EMA. And when we draw that out, it pushed up once more, got rejected, tried to break below the 200 EMA. That did not work. So the 200 EMA is very strong, keeping it as support. And then we built a trend line for the support. And now we know the range is somewhere within this area. Being on the Fibonacci, it's around the 125 for the price tag before we may see a little bit of consolidation. But if there is no consolidation or it closes and holds, the next step is all the way up here at 1.618, which is $150. A little bit of resistance here at 171 and $190 is the next step up. But keeping in mind the volume is picking up, and if we are putting in the RSI, as it is not on this chart, now it's doubled. RSI is a little bit above the 50, but we could see some support happening off that yellow line that's coming upward as the volume is picking up, and same with the price. We can expect this to at least push up to 127 before a little bit of consolidation, testing this upward trend line for the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th time. Usually 3 taps to the top and break is bullish, and once it hits this 5 tap, it's definitely going to be a lot more bullish. This upward trend line is getting very weak, and we're going to see some more bullish momentum for QNT. Moving over to IOTX. IOTX is not loading for some reason. Neither is anything. I am off.